All right. I click start recording. You can start. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, good morning, everybody. We're here to talk about our recent search engine optimization, calling it SEO for the rest of this presentation for short, because we know that Alan and ILG, we've had a decent report, but we're not hitting page one on Google. So very quickly, what we're here for, agenda, you know me, I'm Nick. I'm Digital Marketing Officer for Linology. And brief overview, there's going to be quite a bit we're going to talk about here, but in a nutshell, it's going to be about our SEO findings and fixes. Do we meet the requirements for SEO? What can we do to improve? We're going to talk about performance, mobile optimization, keywords, and content. It's a lot, but we broke it up into nice little sections. So, part one, we're going to talk about our SEO report. So, what is the report for SEO? Basically, it runs an outline of our entire SEO performance and usually like looking at key metrics such as how usable the site is, how fast we are, what's our social presence, do we have a proper security, and then it'll give us the suggested fixes on how to improve. So the overall verdict looks really good. We got an A, largely optimized for performance. However, when you look deeper, it's not perfect. And we know that for sure because it's not sticking out landing on page one of Google. And it's extremely important to hit page one because research shows from multiple sources that the vast majority of pages, if people don't actually go past page one of Google, they just don't ever see anything past it. So, what can we do to improve our SEO? That's the report finds. Four issues. These are four big ones identified. So we have the amount of content on our page, we have image alt text, we have the broken links, and we have our social presence. And I'll go over each one of these in detail. So the first one, amount of content. We were marked specifically as having thin content. There's only about 480 words on our page. And research shows that a higher text volume equals better rankings. That's because usually the more text on there, quality text, it shows that as a better quality web page. So what do we do to fix it? It's really quite simple as we flesh out our copy with more words, but not just filler, blah, 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 blah. We want quality content. And we're going to discuss this later in the presentation because it is quite dense and creating a calendar and how to flesh out our pages with quality content. Our second issue, image alt text. Here's the problem. Most of our images are missing alt text. And what is alt text, if you don't know it? It means alternative text. It's the words that basically describe an image, usually for visually impaired. And it's important because an engine crawler like Google can't physically see an image and describe it. So we have to do it. And it's really easy to fix in the content, the web team for each image. You put here a little descriptions. You see hot cup of tea zone biscuits and Houston tea. And it there describes everything. And then the search engine could read that for the image, and it'll actually pop up as, if we're lucky, with the proper alt text as a search on Google. Third issue, broken links. Only one was found, but one is still pretty bad. You get the 404 error. Nobody likes that. Users get kind of a little bit, ticked off, and they might, say this page is not up to snuff. And also, Google will penalize broken links on a page. This is actually flagged as the highest priority fix. This one simple little issue. This is quite easy. We fix it or remove it. Do have to keep in mind that the SEO software did not crawl every single link on the page. It's useful for it to manually, it might take a bit of time, just to sense check it and go through a web page and test the links they work, or run the report repeatedly, making sure that everything's covered. Last major issue, social presence. So we have our Facebook and Twitter connected to our homepage. We have decent followings in both. However, it's identified our Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We don't have those all listed on our homepage. And that led us specifically to the worst possible score for out of all the things that we tested for, C minus. And that is quite easy to fix. We just need to put all the profiles and also continue building our following on the profiles. It's, if we have only 2 people following us on LinkedIn, that's not really that great. So the more activity, social activity, the more incentive people to have share our page increases their web presence. It could also drive more traffic back to the page. The report specifically said if we connect all 5 of these major social accounts, we can hit an A+ social grade, and I have no doubt that improve our overall score. So this stuff is all well and good, but we need to be able to measure how we're doing with these changes and what we're doing in our SEO improvement efforts. So we call these KPIs, or key performance indicators. And what are they? As I said, they are specific metrics to evaluate performance. And they're important because without knowing what we're doing and if anything is actually changing, we can't know if all the work we're putting into this actually is doing anything. And they need to be monitored consistently to track and make sure that what we're doing is working. So here's an important one: organic visibility. So organic, what does that mean? That means page impressions are people who view our page, at least see it, but they're using keywords that land to our page. So it's not like they're Googling alinology and they already know us and they're going straight to our page. This will be basically found through other means by keywords. And this is actually measurable right here in Google Search Console. You can see where it measures the total impressions, over 1 million. And this also relates to branded and non-branded traffic that we can measure. So branded traffic, like I was saying before, is people that already know us and they just Google alinology really quickly to get to our website. But non-branded traffic is through organic keyword searches, say as software, HR software, that sort of thing. And also Google Search Console, it breaks it right down. You can see the little graphic here for a sample web page, branded traffic, 4.4 million, and non-branded. This suggests that most people are finding this example web page by searching for keywords, and then it happens to lead to our page or a competitor's page. So this is actually really crucial because the amount of non-branded traffic is basically a result of the keyword strategy itself. We'll be going into sharing on social media. This is something else that we can use as a great KPI. Important thing, everybody tends to be focused on likes. How many likes can we get on Facebook? The more the better. But that's not as quality as sharing content and tracking number of shares. That shows people are really interested in what we had to say and they're willing to vote for it, if you will, to share with their friends and their professional networks. That shares increase the content to a larger audience. And that's quite easy to measure. Google Analytics does track web traffic directly from social content. And there's also social media software. If you haven't heard of things like Hootsuite, is a very popular one. There are other ones like Sprout Social. They keep track of all these metrics as well. So keywords ranking and traffic. It's another important KPI. It gives us an indicator to which keywords we pick, which we'll go into in a bit, are driving the traffic to our site. And this is also measurable. Back to Google Search Console. You can see here, it tells you actually how many clicks are done through organic search and impressions, which is a fancy word for views of the page by virtue of using specific keywords or search queries, we could also say. So the thing about KPIs, we need to keep on top of them, monitor them. I'd say minimum monthly, preferably weekly, and using Google Search Console and Analytics, or also checking the SEO report, the one we use to base this presentation on. Also social media software, as mentioned. And just a good old human touch. It makes a good idea to go through our website, like pretend you're somebody just landed on it and never seen it before, and checking to make sure things work, like broken links and whatnot. Another thing flagged, a big one, mobile device optimization. Here in the office, working on computers. Excuse me. Not always looking at the site through most people, which is through their mobile device. This is extremely important because actually the majority of web traffic comes from mobile devices. Most people tend to be looking at things on their phone. It's also a really important part of Google's search prioritization. How well is the page working on a mobile device? You could see here in the top right, C plus score, not great. And usability is another word for optimization. So how as well does the page render or appear on your mobile device? So the big issue was something called iframes. This is a bit of a old web technology, but the problem with it is that it can complicate on mobile devices. Iframes is like a frame of like a page within a page, if you will. It could also make content harder for search engines to index, but they might necessarily see what's within an iframe. It's quite technical. Our web development team could definitely sort this, and it's kind of a deprecated technology. So the solution, we can get rid of it. And report specifically says if we get A plus grade for usability, if we're rendering correctly on all devices, and iframes is what seems to be causing that problem. So now the keywords. What are they? Well, they're quite simply just phrases and words that people search for in Google to find something they want. It is what is the important link between what people are searching and what words we have on our site. And that match creates, hopefully, a hit between what people are searching for and our. And this goes back to tying to organic website traffic that I mentioned before. So organic, again, it's really important, worth repeating, that comes from keywords from people who are not specifically looking for a linology, for example. So I've developed a strategy to expand the range of keywords we're using. We're going to be using this across our website and social to increase our visibility for search impressions. We need to focus on things that actually have to do with our business, such as HR and software, team purpose, management, aligning values, that sort of thing, and increase the density, not just in the page, but some of the things you can't see, like the header tags. And this is getting a bit techy. But like within the actual meta descriptions, which is the little blurb you see on Google, a little paragraph describing under a hit, alt tags, as we discussed in images. So the strategy, using Google Keyword Planner, which is the industry standard tool. You can use it to find keywords and see how well these keywords are doing. You could research, you could see how they might perform. It'll give you an idea of that. And in the strategy, we have two types of keywords. Now, short tail are ones like alignment. Now the problem with something like this is they're very generic and they're very far reaching. So if you just put in an alignment, we deal with alignment software. What's going to happen? It comes up with things for tires, for example, and wheels and cars. There's huge search volume, and it's not very specific. But a long tail keyword is a combination of words. So something like HR alignment software is much more specific and much more likely to drive people to what we are, which is a provider of HR software. That alignment, it's very clearly defined. And it's lots less volume and less competition. There's a chance of getting lost in the shuffle of thousands and thousands of searches. And for example, what we did is use Keyword Planner and looked up 5 of our main competitors. And with Keyword Planner, you could actually track and kind of get an idea what keywords people are using based on their website. So use this as a jumping off point because these pages, for example, actually do pretty well. Like when I would put in HR alignment software, HeartPace jumped right to page 1 all by itself. This is quite a lot of information. I appreciate that, but this is a little bird's eye view. You will all be getting a copy of this presentation afterwards to see the keywords that I've selected. And it is quite detailed in the spreadsheet, the methodology to achieve them. But you can see they're all long tail keywords. You have average searches, maybe between 10 and a month, the competition level, how many people are searching. And these are all things identified that are most likely to, more we put into our webpage, is aligned with what we do. Now, content generation. We have all those keywords we discussed. Now we have to put them into content. We don't want to just list 50 keywords on a web page and hope it works. It won't. Google doesn't work that way. It'll definitely flag the pages, basically spam, if you just hide keywords everywhere. And this is important, as discussed earlier, said we get back to it, is that even with our grade of A, which is good, but not good enough because we're not sticking that landing, we can definitely improve by link building and content generation. And the more pages we have with high quality content are more pages that Google is likely to index. But this is the really important thing is about content is what people sometimes forget is that it returns pages, not websites. So if you're putting in a search term, you're not going to be actually hitting an entire website. It's looking for pages. And the more pages that we have of quality content and keywords, the more likely one of those pages will hit. And here's an example: is our competitor Teamly. When I Googled HR alignment software, what popped up on page one was not actually their website, not their homepage, but what popped up was this blog. And this is a great example of content. It was a long article, over 2,000 words. It had images. I could tell when I hovered over them, they had descriptive text and a nice table of content. You could see right there, easy, simple, that little tag popping up right there of easy and simple organizational alignment tools that work. It has alt text. When I looked at the HTML code using Safari source, and the thing is that you see this one page, and that is enough to because then somebody's like, "Oh, what's Teamly?" and they hit the home button, and right there. So that's a win for that. That's something where we want to do. And in order to organize all this, it's going to be a lot of work presenting content, and I've created a draft content calendar. And the great thing about using this is that it'll put a big bird's eye view of over a year of top keywords to focus on and making sure that we use them, keeping track of our efforts. And here's an example. You can see part of it. I did build one for the whole year, and you'll get an email with this after the presentation. And top 10 keywords that I believe we should focus on that give the results that we're looking for. We could write blogs or articles, like we just saw that example, a long article, including photos, a deep dive into specific topics that are likely to hit, little videos like top 5 lists or FAQs on YouTube, maybe a long video for you like Vimeo and YouTube, maybe a bit more professionally filmed, like a motivational, educational, and social media posts, say long ones on LinkedIn, like about HR, and we post it to the relevant groups within LinkedIn. And we make sure but the thing is that with all this stuff that we do, we want to cross post this and share it on all over social media channels. And the more material we have, the more with the rich, dense keywords we have, and the more likelihood is shared across the net. The more pages with our name are across Google, the higher the chances something will be indexed that will hit page one. So, conclusion, thing is, this is not going to be easy. There's no instant gratification. We're here for the long run. It could take up to a year for changes to happen, but we'll be monitoring them all the way. And if we do this correctly, we will see changes, and hopefully we'll hit our goal. And that is it. So thank you very much. And now have time for questions.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. It was an amazing presentation. So at the beginning, you mentioned the issue of the 404 error, right? So how would you fix this issue so that you can avoid that in the future?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Which issue?
Yeah, the 404 error.
The 404 error.
Yeah.
Yes. I know, for example, even when you run an SEO report, it will usually pick up broken links. Depending on the content management system, I've actually had this problem on my personal website, which uses WordPress. That's just one example. And plugin will automatically detect 404 error. It's funny you mentioned that because I got a notification this morning there's something wrong, and when I get off work today, I'll have to check out what's going on there. And any content management system will have a method to alert you to 404 error. Then you have to investigate, okay, did something happen to the link? Like, did the source, did they change it to maybe HTTPS or instead of HTTP, or did that website go defunct altogether? So it's you have to look to see. It's not just, you don't want to just get rid of the link altogether. It could have been just something changed within that link. So you have to
Yeah.
look behind the scenes, see what happened, and then adjust accordingly.
Yeah, and so for example, you might have a blog post, I don't know, and then you change the name of the blog post, and this is reflected in the URL. So you might end up with a broken link. So obviously, the way to fix that is to create a redirect through WordPress, for example. So yeah, while you were presenting, I had many questions for you, but you covered pretty much everything in the presentation, which is perfect. So for me, you really went above and beyond. So to be honest with you, I don't want to waste your time on a Sunday morning. So yeah, well done, well done.
Oh, thank you.
It was an amazing presentation, and you covered pretty much everything.
Wow, cool. Thank you.
I don't have any feedback to give you, which is good, to be honest, in this case. You really went above and beyond. You covered more than the required stuff. So yeah, well done. I don't think I want to waste your Sunday morning.
Oh, it's fine. It's I'm awake and ready. I've already had 3 cups of coffee in me, so. But,
What site do you have, if I can ask? It's for a hobby or?
yeah, well, it was work, but it's photography website.
Oh, perfect.
So I have 2 photography websites. One for travel photography from all the countries I've been to. I used to kind of hit it. I've been disabled for a couple of years, but I'm